guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back. It is now actually the 24th of May, and it is 12:50 a.m. Eastern Time, and Q posted late last night, and so I felt like I needed to stay up and get this decoded and out as soon as possible because we've been waiting for Q posts, and so I was just so happy to see it, and especially in light of everything that has happened today. So let's get right to it. All right, now we are going to start here. Here's the first post from the May 23rd, and it's a link to a Fox News article, which we're going to go to in a moment. And Q says, panic in DC. Q. Well, we're going to find out in a second why there is panic in DC. And I bet you people are probably running out and getting their Depends underwear, because I'm thinking that there are many people that are, yes, doing things in their pants. All right, let's go out now. And while we're waiting for that to come up, I just want to thank you guys that have supported me and either, hang on here.
The president has just released a memo about.
I wanted to thank the people that have supported me either through Patreon or through throwing me a coffee every now and then. It makes me happy, and it keeps me doing what I do. So I appreciate it. And I know that not everyone can, and no one should ever feel pressure. So anyway, let's get on with the good news. Now, this is the link that Q gave us. Trump gives AG Barr authority to declassify documents related to the 2016 campaign surveillance. Now, this is explosive news, bombshell news, because this is what is going to bring down the House. Remember, Q said declassification brings down the House, and this is about to be declassified. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot happening from now till the end of May, and we're going to see what Q has to say about that. But let's just read this. President Trump on Thursday night issued a memo giving Attorney General William Barr the authority to declassify any document related to the surveillance of the Trump campaign in 2016. Trump also ordered the intelligence community to cooperate with Barr. The memo read, the heads of elements of the intelligence community and the heads of each department or agency that includes an element of the intelligence community shall promptly provide such assistance and information as the Attorney General may request in connection with that review. Today, at the request and recommendation of the Attorney General of the United States, President Donald J. Trump directed the intelligence community to quickly and fully cooperate with Attorney General's investigation into surveillance activities during the 2016 presidential election. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said in a statement, today, at the request and recommendation of the Attorney General of the United States, President Donald J. Trump directed the intelligence community to quickly and fully cooperate with the Attorney General's investigation into surveillance activities during the 2016 presidential election. The Attorney General has also been delegated full and complete authority to declassify information pertaining to this investigation, in accordance with the long-established standards for handling classified information. Today's actions will help ensure that all Americans learn the truth about the events that occurred and the actions that were taken during the last presidential election. And that, of course, from Press Secretary Sarah Sanders. And the Attorney General has also been delegated full and complete authority to declassify information pertaining to this investigation. Today's action will help ensure that all Americans, this is just going over what Sarah Sanders said, and that's not necessary because we've already heard that. In a Twitter message late Thursday, Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani defended the president's action. The president made a wise decision to let AG Barr on the documents, Giuliani wrote. I don't know for sure, but I seriously doubt there's any national security concern, but some of it could affect pending investigations. I'm sure AG and DOJ will make a very appropriate decision. So, U.S. Representative, we don't care what Adam Schiff had to say. Trump claims his campaign was the victim of spying through the intelligence community, though the intelligence community has insisted it acted lawfully in following leads in the Russia investigation. Well, the declassification is going to prove otherwise, and we already know that. The president had told Fox News earlier in May that he would allow declassification soon. He elaborated, "I didn't want to do it originally because I wanted to wait, because I know that I've seen the way they play. They play very dirty." That is an understatement. Last month, Barr ran into a buzzsaw of criticism from Democratic lawmakers and media figures for testifying that spying did occur against the Trump campaign in 2016. But despite the backlash, Barr appeared to be referring to intelligence collection that already had been widely reported and confirmed. Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, warrants against former Trump campaign aide Carter Page are currently the subject of a Justice Department Inspector General investigation, looking at potential misconduct in the issuance of those warrants. That review also reportedly is scrutinizing the role of an FBI informant who had contacts with Trump advisors in the early stages of the Russia investigation. The use of the term spying as it applies to the FBI surveillance in 2016 has been fiercely disputed. The New York Times, even as it reported last year on how the FBI sent an informant to speak to campaign advisors amid concerns about suspicious Russia contacts, stated that this was to investigate Russia ties and not to spy. Oh no. I think spying did occur. The question is whether it was adequately predicated, Barr testified last month, adding that he believed it was his obligation to review whether there was misconduct in the original investigation. Congress is usually very concerned with intelligence agencies and law enforcement agencies staying in their proper lane. He added that spying on a political campaign is a big deal. President Trump backed the Attorney General's testimony, saying the same day Barr testified last month that he thinks that what Barr said was absolutely true, adding, "There was absolutely spying into my campaign." Democrats, though, charged that the testimony indicated Barr was a compromised witness. So I guess we're about to find out. We know, obviously, that Barr is not compromised. He is not kowtowing to President Trump. He is actually doing his job. A very novel thing these days in Washington, D.C. All right, so let's get out of there. And, oops, sorry. All right, and we're going to look at this. Now, this isn't from Q. This is just something that I placed in here from Twitter by NM Merkovic, P.E. Don't know who this person is. This is the first time I've featured one of their tweets, but this person tweeted, "Attorney General Barr puts former Intel bosses Clapper, Brennan on notice." Attorney General Barr puts former Intel bosses Clapper, Brennan and Comey on notice, and the squirming has begun. Oh, I bet they're more than squirming. I bet you they're having full-on heart palpitations tonight. I doubt any of them are sleeping very well, really, unless they took drugs to knock themselves out or got drunk, which I would suspect Pelosi did. But I would not imagine that any of them are sleeping well, because they know what that declassification means. They know full well. All right, let's move on now. And here we're coming on to the next Q post here. And this is, Q is making reference to an earlier post of his from August 31st, where he says special approval. And he said set up example 1. Loretta Lynch, paper trail, special entry for Natalia V. that was to set up Manafort. FISA warrant issued and approved regarding spying on Manafort. Mueller investigates Manafort. FISA warrant issued and approved for Papadopoulos. That's right, I said Papadopoulos. And then Mueller investigates Papadopoulos. Yes, Papadopoulos. FISA warrant issued, approved for Carter Page, and then Mueller investigates Carter Page. FISA warrant issued and approved for Michael Flynn, then Mueller investigates Flynn. You must target, remove, and silence all those illegally targeted for FISA surveillance, plus UK assist. UK assisted in the surveillance through Five Eyes. We know that already because we've been following Q. UK assist plus FISA surveillance included all upstream collection plus tangent contacts, umbrella surveillance. And if you've been following Q for a while, you know that once they target somebody and they say, well, we're going to spy on, let's say, Papadopoulos, well, then everybody that he talks to is also targeted. And that is an upstream collection called umbrella surveillance. So if you are targeted, then whoever you talk to on the phone, they can be targeted. Anybody you meet with in person, they can be targeted. Anyone you work with, they can be targeted as well. So it's an umbrella surveillance because it extends to all your sphere of influence, all the people in your sphere of influence. So foreign target designators create leapfrog hops to isolate real target non-F communications, non-foreign communications, I think that is, section 702, and it talks about this old tweet, also talks about, I'm sorry here, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Hang on here. It's late. I'll just use that as an excuse. Now, you're seeing this, aren't you? Yes, you've got to be. All right. I don't know. It's late. First day with the new hands. Okay. Now, so let me move down here. It's not wanting to, hang on here. Good. Now, it says, then it talks to P talks to X, X talks to Y, Y talks to Z. P, X, Y, Z equals bulk data collection, umbrella. UK assistance allows for normal FISA law deconstruction. Deconstruct includes D2 spy insert. Deconstruct includes non-FISA warrant, special ops, warrant, special ops, classified, public. Now, we've gone over all that in the past, so I'm not going to take the time now at 1 in the morning to describe all that. But Q says, important to remember, page is public. Now, what's he talking about here? What's he talking about? He's saying that the Carter Page, all that, the stuff about Carter Page has been declassified. It's already public, but the remainder is still classified. Well, what's he talking about? The remainder. Who's that include? Well, the Carter Page FISA is now public. However, the remainder remains classified. Who are the remainder? Well, Q has already told us. It's Manafort, Papadopoulos, Mike Flynn, and Ted Cruz. Why did they spy on Ted Cruz? Because he was number 2. If anything should happen to Trump and he should decide not to run or he drops out of the race, it would go to Ted Cruz. So they also wanted to spy on Ted Cruz because they wanted to ensure that Hillary won. That's why they set up an insurance policy against Trump winning. And they spied on Ted Cruz probably for the same reason, because they wanted to have a reason to disqualify him, or should he get in and become president, a way to get him out, which is exactly what they did with Trump. Now, let's move on here to the next one. And we've got this. Now, Q here is referring to a post from an anon from May 23rd, yesterday, and it's this anon has included some clips of Q-Post, former Q-Post, and it said Hillary campaign and fake news promoted Trump because they had an insurance file, fake Russia dossier. And then it goes down, and this is from 2nd of March. Q, the 2nd of March, is referencing an anon who said, so it was known what was happening with the deep state, but this trip happened in 2016. And it says POTUS formally announced his candidacy on June 16th, 2015. Why did Hillary Rodham Clinton campaign actively work to push POTUS as the right candidate for the GOP? Why did Hillary Rodham Clinton campaign publicly attack POTUS opponents? Why did Hillary Rodham Clinton campaign want POTUS to be the nominee? Well, we know that because she thought he would be easy to beat. Well, she was fooled, wasn't she? Not so easy to beat. Did the fake news play along? Yes, they did. Why? Because we know that the fake news is just the extension of the Democrats. It's just an extension of them. And did the fake news play along? Yes, they did. Think pre-nominee. What setup insurance file was created assuming POTUS would become the nominee? Well, we already know that, right? They set up the whole Russia thing narrative just in case he would become the nominee to ensure that he wouldn't get into the presidency, because they tried to prevent it before he even became president. But then if for some reason that he did become president, this would be their narrative to get him disqualified, impeached, what have you. So that was the setup insurance. POTUS would become POTUS 1, Cruz number 2. So Cruz was the backup. He was the backup, so naturally he had to be spied on as well. Was Cruz the target of a separate illegal spy campaign? Yes, he was. When will the public discover that Ted Cruz was also illegally surveilled pre-POTUS Republican nomination? CIA illegal surveillance, members of Congress, CIA illegal surveillance, members of the press, CIA illegal surveillance, Senate Intel Committee? Yes, all of the above. Who ordered the surveillance? Obama. That's who ordered it. What justification was provided to authorize surveillance of elected officials? Well, the whole Russia thing. Surveillance falls under scope of FISA warrant or internal to department or outsourced to Five Eye. And Five Eye, of course, it's the countries Canada, Australia, the UK, New Zealand, and I'm missing one. Oh, in the US, of course. So there you go. Reality check, friend or foe. We all spy on each other. Should we be spying on ourselves? Should we be tasking others to spy on ourselves in order to avoid US law? And we've gone over this many, many times, so I don't think I need to revisit this, because I think, most, probably 99.9% of you are Q followers who have been following this for a long period of time. So we know that US is not supposed to spy on its own citizens. So they task the Five Eye partners to spy on the US people that the US wants to spy on. Yeah. Was Five Eye established and designed by the intel community as a back channel surveillance apparatus to avoid domestic law triggers and congressional Senate oversight? Oh, you betcha. What key logs exist to monitor Five Eye intelligence collection? Well, if you are in the US and trying to collect data on somebody, then there is a key log and people will know. However, you can just avoid that by going to one of the other countries. You can go to UK or Canada or New Zealand or Australia, and you can go there and you use your security clearance or whatever to spy on the American in question, and then that is not logged. Isn't that nice? What ability do former government officials have regarding ability to access C-level Five Eye offshore data? Well, they all retain their security clearance. That's why Trump revoked some of their security clearances, because that's exactly what they were doing. They were going to these other countries, they were getting the data, they were passing it on to the Intel committee or the Intel community back home. How did Hillary Rodham Clinton gain access to highest classified secret access programs, special access programs? It's one of that. It's either one or the other. Closed system access and able to transfer to remote home server. I'm actually not sure about that. I did know at one time because we covered this, but I'm not exactly sure. However, Q responds to this, all right, and says plus Cruz. So he's wanting us to know that Cruz was spied on as well. Sorry, there's a little bug that flew in. Cruz was spied on as well. And then he responds to all of that and says, follow the watch. Q. Now, we've had that many, many times in the past, follow the watch, and there's always significance around the watch. I tried to decode this in terms of what he was talking about this time, and I don't know. So I don't know if there's going to be a future post in the next day or so with a watch that we're supposed to pay attention to or not, or if there's something coded in one of the former ones. I'm going to have to, when I have more time tomorrow, go back and see and look at all the times he's posted the watch and see if there's any message there for us that would be applicable to now. So, but as of right now, I am not exactly sure what that means. And it could be a future proves past post where a watch will be posted at some point in the next few days. We'll have to keep our eye on that. Not literally on it. I don't like taking my eyes out because they get dusty. All right, now let's go on to the next one because we can. Oh my gosh, I'm having like scrolling trouble. All right, now here's the next. Excuse me. Now, this is the next post, and Q is making reference to an Anon's question from yesterday, May 23rd. And this Anon asked, is POTUS going to ask the Queen about UK assistance? And we already know that this has been ongoing, but hang on. Q responds, foreign assist underway with DOJ. And he gives us a link, and then he says, fly, May, fly. Now, he's not talking about the month of May, he's talking about Theresa May. And so we know when he says that Theresa May's on her way out, and he ends it as he always ends it, Q. And he says, we have known since the end of March that the DOJ was coordinating the FISA declassification with the UK's assistant. Theresa May has to have known, as well as her spy chief, Hannigan, who resigned in January. So let's look at the link that Q has provided us. My nose is itchy. And let's go here.
As House Democrats ramp up their investigations into the president, his businesses, and family, tonight the president says former leaders of the FBI, CIA, and other federal agencies.
Okay, now this is Nunes presses Trump to ask Theresa May about British government's role in Steele dossier. And the top Republican on the House Intelligence Committee on Wednesday urged President Trump to ask Prime Minister Theresa May whether British officials supported intelligence gathering activities targeted at his campaign associates or coordinated in any way with the author of the unverified Trump dossier as the president prepares to make a state visit to Britain in June. See how everything's just happening tickety-boo? You know, it's like it was almost coordinated. Yeah. And of course we know that it was, and we know that she did cooperate. I respectfully request that you ask Prime Minister May about the British government's knowledge of the Steele dossier and whether the British government took any unilateral actions based on information provided by Christopher Steele or at the request of any U.S. departments. California Republican Representative Devin Nunes wrote in a letter to Trump, exclusively obtained by Fox News. Nunes cited a May 19th article in the Telegraph titled Theresa May's spy chiefs were briefed on explosive Christopher Steele dossier before Donald Trump. The report said the heads of MI5 and MI6 and a top May advisor were told about Steele's salacious memos on the Trump campaign after his 2016 election victory before Trump was made aware, saying the article raised important questions about the potential role foreign government officials may have played in spreading the dossier's false allegations and what actions they may have taken in response to the allegations. Nunes posed a series of questions for Trump to ask May. Is the British government aware of, did it give permission for, or did it participate in activities by any government to surveil or otherwise target active or former associates of the Trump campaign, if any such surveillance activities took place, Nunes wrote. Another proposed question reads, describe any communications or relationship, if any, Joseph Mifsud had with the British intelligence, and any information the British government possesses about Mifsud's connection to any other government or intelligence agency. Nunes, who has access to classified records on the matter, has been at the forefront of investigating the genesis of the Trump-Russia collusion probe. Trump told Fox News earlier this month that he would declassify related materials soon. And he did. Earlier this week, Nunes told Fox News that the FBI had something to hide concerning Mifsud, a Maltese academic who allegedly told former Trump campaign advisor George Papadopoulos, that's right, I said George Papadopoulos, in April 2016 that Russia had damaging information about Trump's rival Hillary Clinton, eventually touching off the original FBI probe. Papadopoulos has accused Mifsud of acting as one of many spies intent on corroborating bad intelligence. Hate it when intelligence goes bad. He is the first person that we know of on Earth that supposedly knows something about the Russians having Hillary's emails, Nunes told Fox News at night. He has since denied that, but Special Counsel Robert Mueller in his report claimed that Mifsud, or insinuated that Mifsud, was some sort of Russian asset. We know that this is not the case. In fact, we know that he was in the U.S. Capitol just steps away from an intelligence committee. Nunes' letter to Trump also drills down on how deeply reliant the intelligence community was on Steele, whose dossier played a central role in obtaining a Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act FISA warrant to monitor former Trump aide Carter Page. A report from The Hill's John Solomon earlier this month found that the FBI was told that Steele had admitted to a contact at the State Department that was keen to leak the dossier for purposes of influencing the 2016 election. The State Department official further raised concerns about the accuracy of his claims. Steele also acknowledged the dossier was funded by the Democratic National Committee, DNC, and Hillary Clinton campaign. The FBI did not make either fact clear to the FISA court. Additionally, on 4 occasions, the FBI told the FISA court that it did not believe Steele was the direct source for a Yahoo News article implicating Page in Russian collusion. But court documents show that contrary to the FBI's assessment, Steele briefed Yahoo News and other reporters in the fall of 2016 at the direction of Fusion GPS, the opposition research firm behind the dossier. Reads one question in Nunes' letter: did Christopher Steele inform any current or former British intelligence or government officials about the allegations he put forth in the Steele dossier, or any other allegations about President Trump or Trump campaign associates colluding with Russia? If so, describe what action British officials took in response to this information. And a follow-up, did any current or former British intelligence or government officials discuss with Christopher Steele the possibility of Steele writing additional memos about President Trump or Trump associates colluding with Russians? If so, what guidance did British officials give to Steele, and when was this guidance provided? Nunes also sought to probe any possible connection between U.S. and British officials. Did any current or former U.S. government or intelligence officials inform any current or former British government or intelligence officials about Steele's allegations or other allegations about President Trump or Trump campaign associates colluding with Russians? If other such allegations exist, did any current or former U.S. government or intelligence officials inform any current or former British government or intelligence officials about Steele's allegations or any other allegations about President Trump or Trump campaign associates colluding with Russians? If other such allegations exist. That's a very awkward and not well-written sentence. English major. If so, describe the circumstances and timing of this communication and any resulting action that was taken, Nunes wrote. As Trump's own Justice Department launches a review into the origins of the Russia probes, Nunes' letter suggests the hunt for details could lead overseas. He also asked whether any British officials relayed classified or unclassified information to any current or former U.S. officials about alleged contacts between Trump associates and suspected Russian intelligence officer, if any such information exists. Nunes concluded, did any current or former British officials provide an assessment of Christopher Steele, including a determination of his credibility or motivations to any current or former U.S. intelligence, law enforcement, or government officials or presidential transition team members? This is going to be explosive, really, because he's going over there in June, and I fully expect that he will be asking these questions. And the thing is, when everything is declassified, he's going to have the answers anyway, but it's going to be very, very, very interesting indeed. We all need to stay tuned. All right, now let's go back to Q. So, like Theresa May has to have known, as well as his spy chief who resigned in January. And you never know, that's probably why he resigned, but that remains to be seen. Let's go on to the next. Now, here is the next one, and Q is making reference to a post by an Anon from the same day, May 23rd, and it says Carter Page Anon. And it says Carter Page, public FISA, remainder are still under classification until today. Waterfall of proofs coming post declassification. Q. Waterfall of proofs. I like that. A waterfall, like they're just gonna keep on coming. They're gonna keep on coming, flowing out, flowing out, flowing out. Yep, there's gonna be so many proofs, we're gonna be swimming in proofs. There's gonna be so many proofs, they're not even going to be able to deny it anymore. So, I don't know, they're probably already trying to invent ways to spin it, but I don't think they're gonna be successful. And I think people are going to be ticked off, to put it very mildly. We know some, not all, but we know some of what has went on, and we have been absolutely, and we've had like a year and a half or more to kind of process it. But what about the people that are just waking up? This is going to hit them in the face and they're going to go, what? So I do feel bad for those people that really have been sleeping through all this, because they're in for a surprise. All right, now let's go on to the next one, and it is a very interesting one, and it's a question that I've asked many, many times because I've been very concerned about it, and that is about Julian Assange. Now, this anon, Q is making reference to him, and he asks this question, what can you tell us about Assange? And Q answers, and this is what he says: under protection, threat is real. Key to DNC source hack 187. Now, what's he saying? Well, Assange is under protection due to a very real threat to him. If he wasn't under protection, he'd probably be dead. He is not probably, he would be. He is the key to the source of the DNC hack, which we know wasn't a hack at all. It was Seth Rich with a flash drive, and he downloaded it to the flash drive, and he did give it to Julian Assange. So, and for that, he was murdered. And of course, we know that the code that Q uses for murder is 187, which he used there. So yeah, Julian Assange is under protection because he knows about Seth Rich. He knows that the hack was not a hack at all. It was Seth Rich, and Seth Rich was murdered because of it. And we know that. So yeah, that makes me feel a whole lot better, because they need Julian Assange. They need him alive. So I was worried. Wow, that is a loud plane. So much weird aerial activity around here in the last few days, like just things that I've never seen, like all sorts of black helicopters and just weird stuff. So don't know what that means, if anything. All right, now, yeah, they need Julian Assange alive, and we know that he's not safe. He wasn't safe at the embassy. So wherever he is now, he's safe and he's under protection. So that is good news. All right, let's go on to the next one. Now, this is Q is referring to a past post of his from April 15th, 2018. And he says, reread Five Eyes, avoid U.S. data collection laws. Hussein, public, dossier, FISA, not public, Five Eyes, UK, Australia, POTUS, targeting, using, pushed Russian decoy meetings, campaign insertions, Hussein, HRC, Loretta Lynch, Brennan, Clapper, National Security, White House Situation Room, Operation, UK, Australian, assist, set up. Now, what he's saying here is, you know, all the FISA information was public, but what wasn't published is the role that Five Eyes played in all of this. And UK and Australian targeted President Trump using this Russia decoy. The meetings, they set up meetings like the Trump Tower meetings and so forth was set up. And there were also campaign insertions, you know, people inserted into his campaign. Now, who was involved? Well, Obama, Hillary Rodham Clinton, Loretta Lynch, Brennan, Clapper, National Security. Now, this was coordinated, I believe he's saying, from the National Security White House Situation Room. The UK, Australia assisted, helped set up Q. Now, Q is just, you know, reminding us of this past post and reiterating that the UK and Australia assisted in the setup. So we already know that the UK was involved. We know that Australia was involved, and that's going to come out. It's going to come out. Let's move on. Moving on. Now, so here is the next one, and here Q is referring to a past post from July 28th, 2018, and it says, no, the truth was not revealed yet. FISA didn't have much impact, to be honest, or there is still something missing. And this is an anon that is writing this. This is not Q, but Q in this past post from July is referencing this anon's question. And he says, no, the truth was not revealed yet. FISA didn't have much impact, to be honest, or there is still something missing to it, which reveals the whole truth. And Q responds, FISA was the start. FISA was immediate confirmation of illegal acts regarding the signers. They signed it illegally because the data, it was bad intelligence. All this was based on bad intelligence, and they knew it, but yet they signed. Immediate confirmation of Obama spying, his whole campaign to spy, to rig an election, and it was all based on false information, and they knew. FISA equals the implication of Hillary Rodham Clinton and the Democratic Party as feeders of false info with the intent of securing mainstream media plus blast / insurance. So yeah, the FISA did reveal to us that Hillary Rodham Clinton was implicated along with the Democratic Party and the mainstream media, which we now know is just an extension of the Democratic Party. So this has been underlined by Q. FISA equals implicates senior members of UK, MI5, MI6, SIS, US Intel, White House, Five Eye, Republican Party, Congress / Senate of known corruption in effort to retain power and rig election, plus safeguard events by political kill to act while in power, given MSM fake push Russia narrative. FISA equals ties MSM heads TV behind corporation to Democratic Party, other foreign heads of state in co-op strategy. And he said FISA brings down the House. Freedom of Information Act does not include FISA. Declass by POTUS key parts that factually demonstrate the dirty fake dossier was used as primary source to secure highest level of intel, spying on primary Republican opponent, plus post-election intel assets for domestic spying on lost my place now. For domestic spying on the President of the United States for the office of the Presidency of the United States of America, logical thinking, public awareness, FISA, spying, foundation built, Huber, no spelling errors intended, mobile unknown if. So he's letting us know that if there are any spelling errors, that it's not it's a mistake, it's a typo, because we know that in earlier posts, he's told us to pay attention to everything, misspellings, everything. So what he's saying is, yeah, the FISA didn't reveal the whole truth, but it built the foundation. It showed there was a dirty dossier, that Hillary Rodham Clinton was involved, and it shows that it implicated senior members of the UK, MI6, MI5, etc. So that is what Q is wanting us to know, because now the rest of the story. So, and Q acknowledges this, and we can move on. Now, this is interesting. Because Q makes references an anon that asks Q, what about the Comey report? Remember how Q said it was the Comey report first, then the declassification, then the Inspector General report. And I've wondered about this myself. Like, a lot of stuff has come out about Comey, but I didn't recall a report. So I thought, what's that? Well, Q is telling us here. Moves and counter moves. Misdirection sometimes creates one person to turn on another publicly. Comey report, that's what he means by C, because remember in the past Q drops, he said C comes first, then D-class, and then the IG report. So he's telling us the Comey report is coming soon. So he's telling us that he said that it was first because he wanted to cause misdirection, and that would cause one person to turn on another publicly, which notice that Rosenstein and Comey have turned on one another. So I don't know if that's who he's referring to, but that is the one that immediately comes to mind. So the Comey report is coming soon, and Q saying that it was going to be Comey, then the declass was misdirection, and it was done for a specific reason. Remember, he said disinformation is necessary because we know that we're not the only ones reading this. They're reading it. They are paying attention to what Q is saying, because they may push in the mainstream media that it's all a conspiracy, but I don't believe the Democrats believe that for a minute. They know he's real, because they have to be wondering, how does he know all this? They know. All right, now the next one is a reference to one this we've seen before. This is just a meme that says FISA-gate and has the main players there. So he's just and then they've got hang on here, let me make this bigger for you tiny phone people. Not tiny people with phones, tiny phones people. Okay. Now this is it says, what I saw is absolutely shocking. Mark Meadows. It is so alarming. The American people have to see this. That's by Jim Jordan. There has been a very real attempt to undermine the president, and it comes from the scariest of places. That's Matt Gaetz. The sickening reality has set in. I no longer hold out hope there is an innocent explanation for the information the public has seen. That by Steve King. And as soon as you read the memo, you think, is this happening in America, or is this the KGB? That's by Scott Perry. So Q is showing us this again and reminding us who the key players are. And then let's go up to the next one. And this also happens to be the last one from May 23rd. I did check before I came on and did my video to make sure that there were no more, and there weren't. So there may be by now, but if there are, I'll have to get to that tomorrow, because I do have to sleep at some point. It's 1:36 a.m. if you're on medication. All right, now this is the last one, May 23rd. Why did POTUS circumvent the Director of National Intelligence, Coates, because normal protocol for D-class, which that would be the normal protocol for D-class would be having it go through the Director of National Intelligence, Coates, and give authority directly to AG Barr. So why did you not go through Coates, and why did you go directly to the Attorney General Barr? Well, why don't we answer that? This is what I think, okay? Because I looked to see, I looked back. This is from January 29th. It says DNI Coates assesses North Korea will not give up its weapons of mass destruction capabilities. It seems to me, in reading some of the things about Coates, that he and the president are diametrically opposed. I don't believe he's working in the best interest of POTUS, and I think POTUS is well aware of that. So I believe that Coates is on his way out. And here is another, this by Lawrence Tribe. Trump and this is from the 18th of July, 2018. Trump just said no when asked if he thinks Russia is still targeting the U.S. So much for the walkback. Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coates, said the exact opposite a day ago, insisting that the current threat is at least as severe as that surrounding 9/11. Will Trump now tell us he meant yes? No, he won't. Because, Russia has not been the problem. And we know that now because we've been following Q. So I just pulled these out to highlight a couple of instances in which Dan Coates was running at odds with President Trump. Just excuse me for a minute. I know it's bad for me. I know. All right. So, and let's come down here and let's look at this from July 16th, 2018. This is from Dan Coates. Found this as well. The role of the intelligence community is to provide the best information and fact-based assessment possible for the president and policymakers. We have been clear in our assessment of Russian meddling in the 2016 election and their ongoing pervasive efforts to undermine our democracy, and we will continue to provide unvarnished and objective intelligence in support of our national security. Daniel R. Coates, Director of National Intelligence. Well, not only did Russia not meddle in our elections, but, Trump does not feel that they are posing the type of threat that he is supposing here. So I would say that that is why. That would be my guess anyway. I think that Coates and Trump are running at odds with one another, and I will be very surprised if Coates is still in office, a few months from now. I bet he's on his way out. All right. Well, and also I wanted to show you this because this person, TDH, I don't know who this is, but I found them on Twitter, and they had a very interesting tweet here. 523. Well, when you go back to 523 and Q post 523, you find checkmate Q. So 523, which was yesterday, and the D-class came, the orders for the D-class came yesterday. And so this person says 523, May 23rd, checkmate. Now, I think that is right on. I think that is a really good decode or really good because I think that's true. We've proven time and time again, these Q posts, you can read them backwards and forwards and cross-reference and everything. And the more you do that, the more you realize how intricate these posts really are. I think people are going to be decoding them, honestly, for years and years to come because there's so much in them. And I can just about guarantee that we've all missed a lot of information in them. And maybe it'll be a case of future proves past. I don't know, but I'll tell you, they're awfully fascinating. And anybody that denies that this is real hasn't been paying attention, really. Okay, well, that is it, and I'm losing my voice, so I'm going to sign off for now, and I will be back tomorrow. If there are Q posts, I will bring those, and also the Q-related news, and if there are no Q posts, I will bring you Q-related news. So there you go. Thank you guys so much. You're awesome. Thank you for all your comments and your support and your encouragement. I appreciate it. You have a great night. Stay safe. Stay blessed. And keep seeking truth because deception bites. Good night.